The Tory landslide in light of the Trump impeachment. The Tories won the United Kingdom general election last week because the left overplayed its hand. Yesterday, in the United States, the House Democrats won an impeachment vote against President Donald J. Trump. Here again, the left overplayed its hand. Why do they do this? Don't they know it will hurt them?
No.
They are confident the right does not know how to use its electoral victories to good effect. Look around. By all appearances, the left has won every major cultural battle and prevailed in every major institution. They staff the federal bureaucracy. They run the Justice Department. They control the curriculum of the public schools. They control the system of credentialing. They dominate Hollywood and the media. They dictate scientific conclusions regarding the weather, i.e., in favor of global warming. They have changed the definition of the word marriage. They have even invented new genders. They have turned women against motherhood. They have emancipated children from parental control. There is no reason they should ever lose an election, except that their long march to preeminence has seriously corrupted their sense of reality, as corrupt as it already was. In short, their victories have been so astonishing that their revolutionary enlightenment has outrun that of a general public frightened by the left's increasingly bizarre pretensions. But even so, why should the public's objections matter? The right-wing deplorables can be suppressed or ignored. For what power do they have? What institutions do they control? What actual resistance can they offer? Their guns can be taken away. Their alternative media can be shut down. It is only a matter of time. Or is it? It is one thing to believe you are right, but another to ram that rightness down a nation's throat. And that is why the left lost badly at the UK polls last week. But again, what of it? Rebuke at the polls, for the left, has always represented a mere delay, at best, or an opportunity to win through the feckless hypocrisy of conservatives who have nothing left to conserve. After many years of eroding national patriotism and traditional folkways in America and Britain, the left has never called retreat. They have only taken a pause, now and then, between advances. On their side, the conservatives imagine that an election is the be-all and end-all. Elect Trump and the swamp will be drained. Elect Trump and the wall will be built. What? Have we missed the left's end run around the Constitution? We have certainly missed the long Marxist romp through the institutions of culture via Hollywood, the media, and don't forget K through 12. If the left's policy of sabotage against the national economy has been momentarily suspended, if the wheels of commerce begin to turn in a manner favorable to the people, it is not a step back for political correctness, as libertarians imagine. The left merely waits for the anesthetizing effects of prosperity to deliver the happy country back into their hands. And so, the unraveling inevitably continues. At each turn, the minions of socialism renew their advance with greater sophistication. Free trade, which only exists in textbooks, has been taken up by the left and used to make the British and American economies dependent on Europe and China, respectively, an economic straitjacket from which the two countries cannot escape. It is one thing to win an election, as Trump did in 2016, but something else altogether to make use of that electoral victory to stop an ongoing process of national unraveling. As we've seen in America, winning an election might prove meaningless if you lose control of the House of Representatives 2 years later. In that event, the House impeaches you. It is an affair which makes the pervasiveness of trumped-up charges a double entendre. Trump will not be convicted in the Senate, you say. But that isn't the point. 40% of the country believes our president is a public enemy. Impeaching him keeps them anchored to that belief. Impeaching him solidifies a grave national division. It might even guarantee massive violence when Trump wins re-election next year. The cold hard fact is, winning an election doesn't mean you change anything. Brexit still hasn't happened, despite Boris Johnson's tenure prior to last week's election. Trump's border wall hasn't been built, despite the Republican sweep in 2016, winning control of both houses of Congress. Winning an election is not enough. It is what you do with your victory that matters. And so we must ask, do our Republicans and Tories know what to do? Have they thought through the problem? Have they understood it? There is reason to worry. Who actually holds power in Britain? Can you guess? It isn't Boris Johnson. Boris's name might be on the door, but he doesn't really run the country. The permanent government, the bureaucracy, runs the country. Does anyone remember that old British TV comedy? Yes, Prime Minister. And what bureaucracies we have now. The first thing that must happen, without question, is the patriotic rectification of our bureaucracies. Not practicable, of course. If we are concerned with the preservation of liberty, the following point should be telling. The ideology of the left is subversive of freedom and limited government. It is opposed to national borders and national identity as such. It should have no place, no refuge, in our national institutions. Loyalty oaths should be reinstated and enforced. Radical leftists and revolutionary socialists should be kicked out. These ideologies stand in direct opposition to constitutional principles. Congressmen who talk of revolution, like AOC, should be stripped of their offices. An oath of allegiance to our Constitution cannot be honestly sworn by such people. Therefore, let us enforce loyalty and punish disloyalty. Make government officials fully accountable. Consider what happens when leftist radicals are allowed to hold office, to sabotage the laws, to divide the public, to plunder businesses, to harass a president who stands in opposition to their socialist agenda. Rhetoric is not enough to stop them. The law must be used, and their oaths of loyalty must be enforced against them. It may be that the situation requires something along the lines of serial public trials. Call out the things the left is doing, e.g., sabotage, subversion, a breaking of official oaths of allegiance to the Constitution, or, in Britain's case, to the Crown. But no, we wouldn't dare call a thing by its proper name, i.e., treason. That will not be possible until after we are bombed and invaded by the Chinese and or Russians. Why? Because the people have been ideologically divided for many years now, and the doing of it has been very cunning. Many do not know what constitutional principles are. If we attempted to have trials today, every jury would be divided and unable to render a verdict. None could find guilt. Is the bureaucracy or media reformable? By what magic wand? Have we a Hercules to clean these Augean stables?
No.
Therefore, impeachment advances. The narrative of Trump's collusion with Russia continues. The left doubles down on their message of hate. They indoctrinate the children and young people. Movies and TV are loaded with the cultural Marxist propaganda of feminism, transsexualism, gayism, and open borders. In terms of the ideological fallout, America is in the same boat as Britain. And with the demographics of decline, Britain is destined to become Eurabia's island province. Unless the aforesaid impossible reforms can be accomplished, there will be no Britain in 30 years. In the United States, we are bound to have a corrupt Republican or left-wing Democrat at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in the next decade. When that happens, the totalitarian train picks up speed and delivers us all to the Gulag. After the many things we have seen, in terms of the Obama administration's criminal abuses of power, the media's hypocrisy, and the ineffectual Republican response heretofore, there is not the slightest seriousness about fixing the real problem. Nobody dares say what that problem is. We hesitate to call treason treason, to call traitors traitors. We act as though the enemy within is our right honorable parliamentary partner in government. But they are not our partners. They are our undertakers, in the sense alluded to by Khrushchev when he said, "We will bury you." By now it should be perfectly clear. The left intends to overthrow the Constitution which, day to day, they openly subvert. The impeachment of President Trump proves the point. The truth does not defeat them because we are not forthright ourselves. If we were honest, we would draw proper conclusions from what we have seen. The representatives of the left commit felony perjury, obstruction of justice, and criminal malfeasance at every turn. When will they be held accountable? When will Hillary Clinton face a jury of her peers? It should have happened by now. Obviously, the left is yet dominant. The swamp maintains its power. The election of Trump has not changed this. Boris Johnson should take notice. What holds us back? What prevents a real conservative victory? We want the good life to continue. We don't want to rock the boat too much. But the good life cannot continue for long. Even now our system is on its last legs. The public is divided and confused. There is no unity and no national consensus. People are seriously discussing the possibility of a civil war. Think of it this way. The FBI was used by a closet socialist president to spy on an anti-socialist presidential candidate, and nobody went to jail for it, as yet. When they were caught red-handed, they used a national security argument. They falsified the record, twisted the facts, accused an American president of treason, and 40% of the country believed them. We are now in a proto-Soviet republic. Has anyone noticed? The U.S. electoral system is a couple percentage points away from the bondage of a permanent Democratic majority. Right now, the largest state in population, California, will never see a Republican win statewide office again. It is a one-party state, where Republican legislators are forced from the podium in the state house by armed guards when they bring up communist subversion or treason. Yes, it has happened. Like Hannibal after Cannae, our conservatives and nationalists do not know how to use their victories. It is time to acknowledge the larger reality of an ongoing and systematic subversion. The longer we put this off, the worse our situation will become.